Mr. Cooper, you have 5 minutes. Please start. I'm going to really go tight on the timelines here, okay? So, go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Minister, I just want to clarify an answer that you had provided. Did you say that you do not have possession of a 300-page whistleblower dossier? Did I hear you right?
The department does. I don't.
Have you read it?
No, I don't have possession of it. The department has.
You haven't. You mean to say that you take this very seriously, that you're willing to take whatever action is necessary. You've repeatedly said you're a lawyer, and you haven't taken the time to review the contents of the 300-page.
Well, I'll tell you very simply, you're a lawyer as well. I'm not the fact finder. I'm the minister. There's people who, their job is to do the fact-finding mission. When they provide me with evidence, the only evidence that exists today, Mr. Cooper, I would tell you, is not the allegations that people have brought. Is the report from Raymond Chabot Grand Torque.
I thought you would have been interested in seeing that evidence as minister. And further to that, Minister, have you met with the whistleblowers?
I don't think it would be appropriate for the minister to meet with whistleblower because, as I would tell you, and you have legal training, the lawyer, I'm not there to do the fact-finding mission. That's why we have a third-party law firm, and we have Raymond Chabot to do that, sir.
You have said that you need evidence. But, Minister, through you, Mr. Chair, there is evidence, and it's contained in the RCGT report, which made findings that are damning, that you are downplaying, including $53,580,000 that was handed out to 3 companies who were ineligible recipients, a further $38.4 million that went out the door as so-called COVID relief payments, which were questionable, and in which of these 21 companies that were looked into, 6 of them involved members of the board who had conflicts of interest, 29% of the companies. So when you say that you need evidence, you have that evidence, and yet you haven't used the tools that you have at your disposal, including Section 10 of the Act, to fire the chair and fire the board.
I would respectfully disagree with that. If you see how it was qualified, Mr. Cooper, as a lawyer, it's called inconsistencies. This is not me. Those are the words of Raymond Chabot. They've not called that violation. And just for your information, let me finish on that, Mr. Chair. What we have demanded as well, but now we welcome the Auditor General. When we see that, we decided to do what was called a recipient audit, Mr. Cooper, because on the basis of that, just let me finish, because you need to go to procedural fairness in order to do that. So when we saw these findings, let me put that, I have called for a recipient audit, which is a full audit of everything under the contribution agreement.
Minister,
but I must just say, when the Auditor General decided to do her own audit, I obviously stopped that work.
I think you've answered the question, Minister. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Cooper.
I'm going to turn to 2.3.1 with respect to the COVID payments, in which the RCGT report unequivocally states that the corporation's conflict of interest procedures were not followed, and that those members did not recuse themselves.
Yeah, I would. What you're citing, and the report speaks for itself. So, but what I would say, Mr. Cooper, I invite you.
For itself, and what it speaks to is a pattern of corruption, abuse, and mismanagement.
Well, I hope you will question the board and the chair on that. But I would tell you the rights and obligation. You're a lawyer. I would invite you to read the contribution agreement. It is very specific as to the rights and obligation and the terms of condition of the minister. And if we come to a material breach of the agreement, I can take action. But if you have further evidence through the testimony of people who are going to come here, I tell you, I'm willing to take any and all action that is needed in order to make sure that we get to the bottom of this.
Well, Mr. Minister, we have been in contact with whistleblowers. You said that you want to follow the evidence, and a whistleblower has told us that following submitting the 300-page dossier to your department, that they had volunteered additional documentation and evidence that was refused by your department.
Well, I would,
30 seconds.
If you are in possession of any evidence, Mr. Cooper, as a lawyer, I would ask you to turn it over to us. Then we will look at the evidence. And not only if you don't want to do that, if you can give it to the third-party law firm
Mr. Minister,
or the
Mr.
Auditor
Minister,
General, sir.
They offered it to your department.
Well,
it was refused. It's no wonder they say that you and your department are more interested in damage control than getting the answers
Not at all,
that
Mr.
taxpayers
Cooper, because
deserve.
I have said to everyone publicly that I will take any and all action based on evidence. You're a lawyer. You went to law school. I act on evidence, not allegation. If I have evidence of wrongdoing of any form or material breach under the contribution agreement, we will take all action needed and we'll go to the bottom of this together.